Hello, everyone. I'm Roland Fergon. I am someone who has been working on this goddamn game for a decade, and we are currently trying to balance the Xiangqi army that is included among our 10. Now, this army has a lot of things going for it, and I'm going to speedrun it real quick for your newer viewers. Let's turn down the intimidation a little and turn on force westernized, so it looks more chess-like. But for the record, I do prefer to look at it like this, with the Chinese characters. Now, for those that aren't aware, that's loading. These pieces are called cannons, and they are able to move like rooks, but they capture when there's exactly one intervening piece. So, for example, they could capture this rook, but you can block. However, in order to avoid that, we gave these pieces loading, which is to say that they cannot capture outside of their territory, which is this little 4x9 area, on the first turn. These move and capture forwards once they cross the river, which is between these two ranks. They can also move sideways and capture sideways. These are just rooks, basically. These are knights, except they're blockable. They don't jump, so if there's a piece here, they can't go there. But not if there's a piece there. They move specifically orthogonal, then diagonal. These are the elephants. They move to the second diagonal, exactly, and they are blockable, so they don't jump. So which means, since they cannot cross the river, again, between these two ranks, they only ever have access to these 7 squares of the board. The king moves as a rook to 1, but can also capture the enemy king, and only the enemy king, as if it was a rook. That doesn't move it, by the way, if the enemy has more than one king. Spartans. And it cannot leave the palace, which is this little 3x3 area. Ooh, it's very weak. The guards move 1 square diagonally and also cannot leave the palace. Generally, you can consider these 5 pieces the king nexus, which means that together they have enough defenses to be like a normal king, but this king is significantly weaker than this one otherwise. And that's it. That's the whole army. As we have some other things that nerf the enemy army, but we can cover that in another video. For now, I just want to point out one thing, which is this piece that I have off to the side. This is a rook back rank reinforcement, and it's Sarawan gated in, so for example, this is an option you could do here. This pawn is missing. Opening salvo, you delete pawns at the start of the game. Currently it's at 1. We're trying to balance things, and Xiangqi plays as a more open game. You're not supposed to have a set pawn structure, hence why these guys move forward, but they don't have any way to support each other, even their soft promotion when they get past the river. You legitimately have to move one of these 3 times, the other one twice, for them to support each other, which is a very stable and strong formation if you can get it without it trading off for the enemy pawns. But this pressure of dropping the rook as soon as you can is a bit much from a game feel perspective, not from a balance perspective. It's sharp, but it's fine. It's very hard to find the right moves when they have that much pressure, but it's kind of okay. So instead, we are returning to an older form, and at the same time, we're also buffing it a little bit because it's a tempo nerf. You get a horse, which is their knight piece that doesn't jump, and a king's chariot. Now, the king's chariot is a rook to 4. And that's this whole update. It's a very small thing. We are in, quote-unquote, final human balance testing for this army. And this update also gives us another fine-tune dial where we can adjust the how far this piece goes. The range, that's the word I was looking for. So now if you do the exact same thing, you're not immediately targeting this queen. You only target to here with the king's chariot. And in 2 turns, with support, you can target the queen. And that's significantly slower. But because you get the horse, which is worth about 2.5 chess pawns, and this, which is worth about 4 chess pawns, it's more total material for less tempo. Which is the trade-off we always end up making with this game, where if you have enough material to get into an even endgame, you have to then have less tempo in the opening to make it fair. Or if you have more tempo in the opening as an army, you're able to turn that into an even material setup, which makes it very knife's edge, these balancing. And it might end up being a rook to 3 later after further testing, but right now it is a rook to 4. And real quick, because I have looked up and done the research, this is the lettering, the Chinese lettering for this piece. This one means specifically a chariot with 4 horses. It also colloquially means the verb ride, as in riding, to ride. And this is a very old lettering for Imperial Chariot. And real quick, while I'm thinking about it, in Xiangqi, open, there we go. In Xiangqi, you'll notice that the lettering for both sets of pieces is completely different depending on which color you have. The only one that is close to the same is the cannon, because they both use the, I think it's specifically paper cannon and fire cannon, and the red one says fire cannon, or like, yeah, something along those lines, and then this one says paper cannon, I think. I could be wrong. But since the letterings for both armies are usually different, we made sure the letterings for the Imperial Chariot would be different as well. And we do have various westernized, more internationalized designs, if you don't want to have to look at this and know what it does. Anyways, it's a small update today, but I hope you all have a wonderful day while we continue balance testing. I think I'm going to do a little bit more setup so that I'm more mentally prepared for it, but I'm going to start streaming the balance tests again, so people can stop by, weigh in, and help us out. So please do that at twitch.tv/RolandTitan. So another small update. Let's see if this defaults the right way. For everyone else at home. Nope, it did not. Oh, it did! I am currently in the process of making this into a real website. It doesn't look good now, but I'm not a programmer originally. I've been forced to become one in order to make the things that I want to happen come true. Which means that I am currently learning and working with HTML and CSS first, then I'm going to make the website more set up. I already have made programs, not amazing ones, but this is my first really big project, and I'm kind of just jumping into the deep end and learning as much as I can. Some days are better than others while I manage my mental health, but eventually this thing you see on screen will be a more official game, and I'm looking forward to it. Yes, we own the domain on top. Yeah, there it is. It always confuses me with the mirror because that's on my left, but at the same time the camera reverses me, so I have to do this. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Feel free to join the Discord if you want to get notifications and updates for my content.